One of the most frustrating experiences in manifestation is this. You assume something internally. You settle into the state. And then nothing seems to happen. Just quietness. No confirmation, no movement, no visible response. And that quiet is usually misinterpreted as failure, even though it's actually the signal that the manifesting state has already been entered. Almost immediately, the mind concludes, maybe I did it wrong. But what feels like delay is usually something else. It's the moment after you've entered the manifesting state, when reality has gone quiet. And that quiet is where most people trick themselves out of their manifesting state. Manifestation rarely feels delayed. It feels inactive. And inactivity is uncomfortable for a mind that equates movement with progress. But manifestation does not operate on emotional urgency. It operates on stabilization. When a new assumption forms and the manifesting state is entered, reality doesn't rush to reassure you. Reality simply reorganizes as the newly assumed conditions materialize. Note, conditions are always invisible at first. This is where misunderstanding begins. People assume if I were really in the manifesting state, something would already be happening. But that thought itself destabilizes the state because it reintroduces checking, and checking creates tension, and tension pulls you out of the manifesting state without you even realizing it. Here's something to be aware of. If you notice yourself scanning circumstances for hints, replaying your assumptions to see if they still feel real, or paying more attention to time than your inner state, then that's not your patience breaking down. That's the conscious mind stepping back in after the body had already been settled into the state. This awareness is key, as it is how you return to your manifesting state. What feels like delay is often your reality adjusting behind the scenes without necessarily announcing itself. No signs, no symbols, no dramatic shifts, just quiet rearrangement. This is why impatience is so disruptive. Impatience says, I don't trust that this is complete yet. And the moment that doubt enters, the manifesting state wavers. Neville Goddard emphasized persistence, but not emotional intensity. Persistence is not effort, it's consistency without reaction. When an assumption is real, you don't rush it. You don't chase confirmation. You don't interpret every event as feedback. You simply continue living from the state. Another reason manifestation feels delayed is because identity updates more slowly than thought. You can assume something mentally in a moment, but the nervous system and self-concept need repetition of normalcy. Reality reflects identity, not imagination. So when nothing appears to be happening, what's often occurring is identity stabilization. You're becoming the version of yourself for whom the outcome is ordinary, and that process is quiet. This is why boredom often precedes manifestation, when the desire no longer feels emotionally charged. The manifesting state has settled, and when the state settles, reality is free to respond. Another misunderstanding. People expect manifestation to arrive dramatically, but outcomes usually come through ordinary channels. Normal conversations, routine opportunities, unremarkable timing, and ordinary events don't register as progress until they connect in hindsight. That's why manifestation feels mystical before it happens, and practical after it does. The delay was never about time. It was about alignment, reaching a point where resistance no longer existed. Once resistance dissolves, reality doesn't rush. It completes, and completion happens in sequence, not in bursts. This is why forcing a timeline backfires. It injects urgency into a process that requires neutrality. The moment you stop emotionally waiting, the process accelerates, not because you did something new, but because you stopped interfering. Manifestation only feels delayed because you're still watching the clock. But when the manifesting state is stable, time disappears from awareness. And when time disappears, the outcome is already inevitable. Nothing is late, nothing is stalled, nothing is being withheld. Reality is simply catching up to a state that no longer needs proof. Subscribe and enter your manifesting state.